Simply, my name is Shodipo Ayomide. I am a senior developer advocate and developer programs manager. That's what I do throughout. A GitHub star, cloud media developer expert, and community evangelist. So these are all of the things I do. And yeah, so let's get right into the good stuff. So what is Deno? This is the big question, the really big question where, okay, what exactly is Deno? What are you talking about? Is it like another Node.js? Is it like another runtime? But no. So I'm going to tell you what Node.js Deno is and how exactly this works and how you should basically utilize this, and also how you can deploy Deno apps to production and get to reuse, share anyone, and yeah. So Deno is a modern secure runtime for JavaScript and TypeScript, not just JavaScript, but JavaScript and TypeScript that runs on the V8 engine and built fully with Rust from the ground up. Supports TypeScript out of the box. That's Deno simply. So Deno is one of the key factors about Deno is a secured part, and you're gonna love Deno once I get right into it. So Deno basically is secured by default. It doesn't have any access to your local network by default, unlike Node.js that has access to every single thing once you install it globally. It has access to every single thing on your system, but Deno doesn't have access to your local network, doesn't have access to your C drive or any of that. So Deno doesn't have access to your C drive by default. Also doesn't have access to your local network, unless you give it access. I'm going to show you how to do that in a couple of minutes. So the first thing when you're working with Deno is, so Deno basically is a single executable with no dependency. So there's nothing like Deno modules. So if anyone's going to be asking if it's like Deno, Node.js, you have Node.js modules, there's nothing like Deno modules, because why? Is zero dependencies. We don't have anything that is basically executed by just one single. I'm going to show you how to do that. So for your Mac and Linux, this is the code you use when you want to install your Deno globally on your Mac or your Linux system. But if you're using Windows, PowerShell, like your default terminal, you put in that URL. You can also find this URL and copy them from deno.land. That's the official website. So yeah, once you have this installed, we're going to move into the next step, basically working with Deno. So the next step basically, so once you put this URL, so I'm using a Mac, so I put in the curl URL and downloading Deno globally on my system. You see it works exactly the same way as this, and it's super fast. Even on a really slow connection, I tried that also. To my surprise, it was like way fast. I'm like, wow, let's shoot this. It's just super fast. So just put that into your terminal, and yeah, just hit enter, and in a couple of seconds, and boom, it's up super fast. So we're going to talk about how to serve your Deno. We're going to talk firstly about the remote URL. So this is one way to serve your Deno applications. So Deno allows you to host files on remote URLs and execute them from the URL in your terminal. And the correct example here is in my next slide. So for example, it's as simple as using a command called Deno run. So anytime you want to run a Deno application, either from a URL or from a file, you always have to use a command called Deno run. So same way we have things like yarn build, we have npm starts, we have all of that. So this is Deno run. So Deno run, and then the URL with the function we would like to execute in our terminal, and we get a response. So now what I'm trying to say here is that we have a URL where we want to get some, so we want to fetch the content of this URL, like basically from the terminal itself, not without writing any single line of code. So just use Deno run, then the URL. So this automatically gets the content of this URL that we have. So it's automatically going to console log. Now, the reason why this is console logging right now is because on this TypeScript file that we have as welcome.ts, we have welcome.ts right here. This exactly is console logging welcome to Deno. So that's why it's giving us the content and the code being run. It's compiling it and giving us the output here in our console. That's why we have this here. So this is being logged. As you can see right here in this screenshot, it's being console log here. So it's what we have in our console.log here in this remote URL that we put into our terminal by using Deno run, then the URL of the projects, whatever we want to run, then gives us the output in our terminal. So basically that's remote. Then we're going to go to the next thing, which is serving it from a project itself. So after the installation, we have to just really create a simple function and serve basically, we're just going to create a simple hello world project, and we're just going to like go from there. So first step is create a project folder called Deno example. This, you can call it whatever you want. Mine, I'm calling it Deno example. Next thing, you're going to create a file called hello world.ts. That's hello world. That's a TypeScript file called hello world.ts. We're going to write a simple function to serve hello world. So yeah, that's simple. Let's get right into it, to the good stuff. So now, as you can see right here, we are importing a package from a URL, and we're going to be serving that on a port 8000, not 3000 like React, but here it's 8000. And to show that, so we will be able to access this and click and know that, okay, it has been successfully served, we are console.login our localhost 8000. So once this is successful and automatically done all of this and it's listing already on our port 8000, this has been console.logged. And sorry. So last we just create a simple for wait loop, which is going to stand by. We're going to push our hello world into here. So now when you do all of these things, yeah, so this is basically just a simple hello world function. That's just basically what this is. So the next thing you're going to talk about is Deno doesn't have access to your local network. As I said earlier, Deno doesn't have access to anything that's to your local network. It doesn't have access to your local host. So this is basically for security reasons. This is one of the major reasons why Deno would be going places. It is 100% secure, and it's super exciting about this. So every time you would like to execute a command, you have to use something called an allow network flag. So every time you want to execute a Deno command, you want to compile something, you want to get something out there, you have to use the allow network command. So it's going to allow certain incoming network to come in. It's not just anything that just comes in into your code. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So we have written this simple command. We have remember now, I said we have a folder here called Deno example. Then inside our file called Deno example, we created a file called hello world.ts. So it's actually a file called hello world.ts and a simple function for hello world. So we've done that already. Now we now know about the allow network tag flag that we can use when we're serving our Deno application. I want to compile them and get the results on a local host. So what we're gonna do is, so now to get a server running, you have to initiate that Deno in the terminal by running. Remember again, I said Deno run. Anytime you want to run a Deno application, you always have to use the Deno run command. So Deno run, then look at it, $allow-network. Then the name of the file you want to compile, as simple as that. That's basically just that's just a route you want to compile. And here we're compiling our hello world file that we created, the TypeScript hello world file. So we're gonna run Deno run allow network, then hello world.ts. So once you hit enter and you've written this in your terminal, you've done like you hit enter, automatically, to show you how secure Deno is, Deno has to request for your system permissions to give Deno access to your accept incoming networks from your system. So you either have to allow or deny this. So you have the permission to do all of this. With Node.js, Node.js doesn't allow you to do all of this. Once it's installed, it has access to almost everything. But here in Deno, you have to give access as you work. So now this is my first time setting up Deno. So if it's your first time, you're gonna see this thing too. So Deno run, you allow the incoming network, then you have to specify the route or the file you want to compile. Then you get this pop-up saying, do you want this application Deno to accept incoming network connections? Click deny. So deny will stop it from working. Then allow would allow you to allow the function what we create that basically that hello world, that TypeScript file we created to fully compile and be served on localhost 8000. So that's basically what it's going to happen when you click allow. So when you see this pop up when you're using Deno for the first time, you have to click on allow on this. There's nothing bad going to happen. This is totally part of the process. So once you allow this, so automatically it's being served to your localhost 8000. So you just have that pop up and just click allow. It takes you back to your terminal where you have this. So once this happens, you just have to click the localhost 8000. Then once you click this, automatically you just go straight to your web browser and you see a preview like this. So once you visit localhost 8000 on your browser, this is exactly what you see. Now, I'm going to go back a bit to the function we created in our hello world TypeScript file. So basically, the exact same hello world response we are sending to our faraway function here is rather for our faraway loop here is what we are getting right here in the browser. So it's as simple as that. So we have basically right now a simple Deno application that we can use. So we have seen how to get what we have, how to serve from a URL that we have coding. For example, remember I said before we had a unique URL where we had console.login, welcome to Deno. Then all we did was do something like Deno run, then the URL. Then automatically console.logged the content of that URL into our terminal. So we've done that. Now we've done how to serve a Deno application from our local, from a project in TypeScript. I said to use TypeScript here because JavaScript is something everyone can really for JavaScript, it's the same process for JS. Well, I'm trying to use TS here so everyone can see how it comes like outside of the box. I didn't have to install any dependencies. I didn't have to install anything. It just comes out like it just comes with Deno itself. So we're gonna talk a little bit more about making HTTP requests in Deno. So getting some content in the fetch API and constant.log a response as simple as that. Basically what happens here. So here we are using it for so we are trying to get so I'm going to show you an example that's going to show you that we're trying to fetch something from here. So where this place we have URL, we are going to put an official URL in here. Then we're going to see what we're going to get. So I created a simple HTTP request. And I'm trying to fetch what we have in our core.ts file. So basically, if you can look at what I have here, again, I'm gonna lay emphasis on the fact that I did something called the allow network, because every single time I want to run a Deno application, if you do not allow network, it would never work. It wouldn't go. It wouldn't fly. No one would. It wouldn't be able to compile. Nothing would happen. It's gonna throw an error saying you have to allow network. You have to do the allow network flag. Not like Node.js, you can just like push the and it just happens just like that, because he has access to every single thing. But here in Deno, you always have to allow network every time you want to compile any file. So as you can see here, I did Deno run allow network. Okay, one sec. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I get that now. Okay, I thought I made a mistake somewhere. So yeah, there's no mistake anywhere. So you might be wondering. So this was put in. So remember I had a file called hello world.js. I deleted the function I wrote for the hello world component. So I deleted that, and I now created this fetching API here where I can be able to fetch what guys being accessed, whatever is being kept into this URL. Then that's what I'm running here. So the same process I did before that I compiled the hello world file. That's the exact same thing I did here. So I'm writing Deno run as usual I said before. Then I'm allowing network. Then I'm compiling my hello world.js file. Usually when I think this is something that everyone should even really do, and anytime you're like giving talks or giving, always try to name your files so you don't get lost, because you have a number of files. Because usually you always add right here, you add as hello-world.ts, so you know what exact file you're going to be talking about. It helps you keep track of things. Yeah, I think I should start doing that. So yeah, let's keep moving forward. So basically once we do this automatically, should I put this? It will not give us the content. It fetches the content of this core TS file. So if we open this in our browser, so if you open this URL in your browser, what exactly you're going to see is what is being fetched right here. The exact same thing, that's what's being fetched right here, and nothing more, nothing extra. This is what exactly we are getting from that simple URL. So remember again, we added the allow network flag because I want to lay so much emphasis on the allow network flag, because this is really one of the most exciting things about Deno. Whenever you're any incoming connection wants to come into Deno, you have to allow access. Whatever coming and going out, you have to always allow the network access. If you don't do this, you're going to throw an error. As you see here, we are fetching some data from the regular example.com domain. So we are fetching some data from this regular example.com domain that we all use, and it's giving us the exact thing that we want to avoid any bad code coming in. Deno is secured. So yeah, this is something that's so exciting. I would like I just have to keep on talking about it. Deno is secured, and yeah, that's one of the reasons why I should use Deno. So another thing I'm going to talk about is, so you have a Deno application installed. So we have this. Let's say for example we have an Hello World application running automatically on our browser. We have this preview. Now, how exactly do we deploy the Hello World application? How do we deploy this as an API or something? How do we do that? And how are we going to deploy that to Vercel? And that's what I'm going to show you in the next one. So deploying a Deno app on Vercel. So Vercel is two sites. It's pretty straightforward and like really super amazing. So let's get right into this. So the first thing you would do is to create a folder and call our folder API. So still in our Deno example file, folder rather, we're gonna create another folder, still another file called Deno example, rather API. We're gonna call that file API. And the hello world TypeScript file that we have, we're gonna drag that file and drop it into our API directory, because every API that wants to work on it has to be in the folder called API. That's basically how it works. If you know that already. So next we're gonna what we're gonna do is to get the current version and yeah, just really, so basically we're going to be creating like another really small application where we're just going to be getting the current version of our Deno program, and we're going to be deploying that to sites. That's just what we're going to be doing in this case. So deploying a Deno app on Vercel. So basically what is happening here is we are importing the API gateway for event and resources and context. Then we are literally saying what should be output and what should be returned to client is welcome to Deno, then the Deno current version, and that's all. So basically what the client is going to be seeing once we enable this to work is the current version of Deno, whatever version we're working on. And remember, I didn't have to do anything like Deno install so I can create something like Deno modules, like what we have for Node.js node modules. We don't need to any of that. So we just have to remember, I'm just importing this from llama.node.ts. The simple as that. Then the output we're going to get is welcome to Deno and the version of the Deno we are currently working on. So the next slide, next we're gonna in our roots folder. So now the first thing we did, we had a folder. This is structure of the folder we have right now. We're not live coding this, so I'm gonna have to visualize so you can truly understand the process of which I'm following. So I have like a folder called Deno example, and in this folder I have another folder called API. Then in that folder called API, I have another file. I have a file called hello-world.ts. Okay, remember what I said earlier about renaming your slides, your code blocks. I think I'll call it from carbon.js, from carbon.now.sh. It always helps you keep track of so you know what you're working on. So as you can see, I'm like I have this code inside my hello-world.ts file. That's where I have this. And the next file we're creating basically in our root directory. So we're gonna go a step back and go to like our main directory where we have the API file. We are going to create another file called vercel.json. So every single time you want to deploy an application to Vercel, you must always have something called the vercel.json file. Well, but then that's for like some product. If you want to serve like static servers like React, you don't even need to have a vercel.json file. Or if you're not aware of the rebranding of Vercel, before you always have something like now.json. So you don't need to have any of this. You are deploying a static file to now.json or vercel.json. They are both the same thing. But according to, because of the rebranding, it's now vercel.json to avoid any conflict. So vercel.json. So if you are deploying a server, in this case, we have to have the vercel.json. So in your root folder, you create a vercel.json file, and you basically set the now runtime to now Deno adds. So this is the official API build function build for that Vercel created. So adding this thing here automatically builds the application in Vercel. So if you go to your Vercel dashboard, under the logs, you get to see how this works. I don't have a screenshot for that, but yeah, you're gonna see how it works. So once that's done, once you are done setting up the vercel.json file, and so you have to go next, you have to go to your terminal and do something called now then production. That's prod. So this basically, so you have two options. So that you just do now, then automatically deploys. That's one. But then another way is to so once you do like a regular now, it just deploys, and it deploys on a random URL. You can have like Deno -example -xyz -bisay. It can be anything at all. But when you're deploying to production, you have an official URL, you have an official name that is going to be deploying to. And as you can see, when I deploy to my now production server, I am having my production URL as Deno-API-example the vercel.app. So and also automatically being copied to clipboard. Automatically once it's being deployed. So yeah, it's really that simple. Then once this is set, all you have to do is this URL we have here as a production URL. You just have to copy this or click this, and this opens in your browser. And for those you can do this right now. I have this app running live. I'm going to share the link to this project. I'm going to share it public. I'm going to find a way that you can access it or you can take a look at it. So you're going to just visit Deno-API-example.vercel.app. So once you visit, you're going to see the small application I created of me deploying it to Vercel. The repo is public. I'm going to share that also. So you can also get to see how I did all of this in the repo itself. It's on my GitHub. I'm going to talk about that before I end on this talk. So yeah, so the next step is to visit the URL, as I said earlier, and you're going to view what's been deployed. And but the most important part here is you haven't worked APIs before. Now, once you visit the URL, you get to see just a regular. You see files. You see the vercel.json file. You see the API file, and I think I have a git ignore file. Then you see a git ignore file. So you see all of these files, but then like you see no preview. So what you have to is you route to where your TypeScript file, your hello world TypeScript file is. Is this our API directory? So what we do is we do /API/hello-world. Then this takes us directly to where our API is. So what we basically covered today, we started from how Deno works, what exactly Deno is, and how exactly can we get started working with Deno. Why exactly we use Deno? Deno doesn't have things like node modules or Deno modules. So funny that Deno modules, yeah, there's nothing like that. It's super light, super secured. One of the major things that makes applications really heavy, the React apps we build is our node modules is super heavy. If you want to look at how heavy it is and just want to like just try it out, there's a package called the Webpack Module Analyzer. So this basically how this works is, so once you get this installed, you just have to set up your Webpack configuration. Then once you have this, just run npm run build, automatically creates a URL. Sorry, it's automatically it's being listed on ports 127.0.0.1. So once you click this, you see a preview of the sizes of each of the files that you have in your project. So just navigate to the node modules file so you can see how heavy node modules is. So it's super heavy, and yeah, it just really makes things like really hard to, especially when you're working with a slow connection in some countries where you do not have like super fast internet. You would struggle to do these kind of things. So there's not like node modules is super like TypeScript comes out of the box. You don't need to have any like manual installation for TypeScript. It just comes with everything all together, and you can deploy, you can compile files directly from a URL link. You can serve them by creating a simple folder. I showed you how to create a folder. We created, Deno example, we created a TypeScript file called hello.js. We wrote a simple hello world function where we sent out, we served a simple hello world application in the client. And so when you said local was 8,000, you saw hello world. We did that. So yeah, we also saw how to deploy our Deno app straight to Vercel. We did that also. So you've done all of this part, and preview is from this link. So yeah, this a little resources that I need to take a look at. So if you want to see the repo I created, so my GitHub handle is developer.io, so or developer.io, so developer then AYO. So github.com/developer.io. Then the name of the repo is Deno example. Then if you want to visit this this little app I created, just you want to see that it's the same repo, but then the deploy app is on Deno-example-API-example.vercel.app, and always remember to navigate to the API, then the hello world file, so you can see the preview, because it's going to have to compile and like give you a preview. The Deno official website is deno.land. So yeah, thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm gonna be on Remmo, so I can have a chat with people who have questions, and you can also follow me on Twitter and on GitHub as developer.io. Thank you. Sure.
Technology.
Hey, Tony, it's nice to see you again.
Good to see you too. So well done on a brilliant talk. Like I said in the outro, Deno is something that I know about, but I've not necessarily looked into, and I think you've encouraged me that it's worth a look.
Yeah, it was exciting. It was super exciting. I was still moving so fast.
Well, you can take a moment now to breathe. Maybe we should do that with every Q&A session, just let everybody breathe. So to everybody watching along at home, please do start dropping your questions into the Q&A session. We've got a few to start us off, but we will need input from you a little bit later on. So Shodipo, I'm going to start by asking, are you abandoning node.js completely and switching over to Deno?
So the thing is, so Deno is really exciting. I love Deno so much, but it's still relatively, I would still say it's still relatively new, and I wouldn't want to really jump right into it. I would want to use it to build like really side projects. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build like a bunch of side projects, and I started working with Deno about I think a month and a half ago. I started working with Deno, and I've been just basically building side projects so I can see how it works and how exactly I can apply this in production. In a case that I wouldn't want to like spend so much space, I would just want to like get things to compile like immediately. I will use Deno, but then I wouldn't abandon Node.js. I'm just gonna practice for now.
No, it's just a tinkering thing. I'd like to welcome Eddie into the Q&A. Eddie, welcome to this session. Eddie. I believe you're taking over from here on out.
No, that's fine. Tony, stay. You know, your questions are awesome. And you stole my question. That was going to be my question. I was going to ask that same one. But what an awesome demo. I mean, you went through that really quickly and it was brilliant. It was really good. Well done.
It's so fast.
And we do have some questions from the audience. I have some questions lined up, so if we get time, I'll ask mine. But let me grab some from the audience. Let's see. Deno plugins, are there any for VS Code or WebStorm?
Yes, they are. Yeah, they have Deno plugins for VS Code. Okay, so I'm gonna get you the link and just post it right now. So this is the one I use. For 1 minute. To get you that plugin.
Generally speaking, is the plugin ecosystem good for Deno, or is it that still building up?
No, it's good. It's what's built by Deno Land.
Oh, nice. That's a really good question. Sure, yeah. Good answer too. It's true because with a lot of these things, they're immature, so that's really good. And I understand Deno 1.4 got released yesterday.
Yes, and that's another beauty. So you don't have to do anything like, you know how we work with node modules, we have to think something, so we have to start updating node modules like from our terminal, right? With Deno, we don't have to do any of that. We don't do any of that. Yeah. So once you get an official update, everyone gets an official update because it's there's no dependencies. We don't have to install anything locally. There's none of that. There's nothing like Deno modules. There's nothing like that. It's all coming from a live URL. So once it gets an update, we all get an update.
Okay. That sounds really scary.
It does. I'm a bit nervous. But I'm sure there are some positives as well. I have a question on that, but we'll come to that shortly. Tony, did you want to grab one from the chat?
Yeah, sure. So what are your opinions on the unusual or controversial approach to dependencies over HTTP with Deno?
Could you rephrase that?
No, because I don't really understand it myself, to be honest.
So I think the question is asking kind of what you just said a second ago about everything comes over HTTP. And I know we went through a phase quite a few years ago where they would say, oh, you can install our library, just run curl, and it does some magic and, pipe it with PHP or Ruby or whatever, does some magic. So I think the question is implying if all your dependencies are going to get updated over HTTP, we can't control what version or what data is coming down. So it's a bit unusual and controversial.
So we cannot control what version it is because it's coming from HTTP request. So we can control that. We cannot because that's how basically Deno works. Unless you want to go to the way of Node.js by getting it down, and you can even downgrade using NodeMon to whatever versions you want that works best for your project. But in this case scenario, you can control whatever version you are using. You can control that. But you should be rest assured secured because number one is open source, and you can always go to the code over on GitHub if you have any concerns.
Okay.
Plus, Deno is well documented. That's another good part.
Awesome. Let's see. Okay, the second question we've had already. The robotics one is not for you. Here we go. One at the top. Do you think Deno can ever properly compete with Node.js when Node.js has such a head start?
I wouldn't even call it a competition myself. I wouldn't call it, and I'm not sure people should actually call it a competition. You can put it side by side. You can definitely do that, but I wouldn't call it a competition. I would call it, okay, for example, you know how people do things like is React better than Vue? Is Vue better than Angular? We all hear these things, and I do not so much agree with these things that happen on Twitter, on the internet, because it's not really so much of a battle. It's really basically what works for you. So I can write React, I can write Vue, I can write Angular, but most times I write React. But there are some projects I'm like, okay, hey, I think Vue. So I did something really crazy recently, and I want to share it. So we know how jQuery automatically writes the DOM, like the DOM itself. That's what jQuery does, and React doesn't do that manually. So I was literally working with JavaScript. Rather, I was working with React, and I added jQuery in there, and I rewrote everything. And I did that with React, I did that with Angular, I did that with Vue. That went perfectly well. So it's not like I'm putting like it side by side, but I'm just trying to see at this point what I'm building. Calm down. So yeah, it's quite intense. So whatever like anything I'm building, as long as I know what I'm building, I definitely have to know what exactly works. So we even say, some people say I don't want to use Webpack. It's so hectic. I can't configure. I'm going to go for Vercel. Like, congratulations, that's what works for you. So please go there, and that's what works. So for Deno and Node.js, as long as Node.js works for you, use Node.js. But if you want something lighter, you want something more secure, you're really concerned, and you're working probably as like a really huge project, and you say, okay, I want something more secure than Node.js. I want to that before anything, I have access to what I have locally. Before I can even request what I want, I can always like handle like who exactly I'm giving permissions to. I can always say whatever this is. It doesn't like, how should I put this? Even though like we're getting an automatic version update once it's been updated via URL, we still have access to a whole bunch of things. How we work, we can, okay. I can share my screen, or can I share my screen?
You can. I don't know if we'll have time for it though. What do you think, Tony?
Okay. I'm just gonna
got 2 minutes left to this one.
Okay. Just, I really want to like put it out there so it doesn't really confuse anyone. So I'm gonna copy something, and I'm gonna paste it right here in the chat. How do I paste in the chat? Okay, general chat. I pasted a Deno land URL that I used when I ran Deno land. I allowed network access, and it basically gave me the content of this URL simply. So whatever I am allowing, I can easily go to that URL and see what exactly I'm allowing into my code, even though like it's been automatically updated somewhere else, and it's not like locally on my project. So you don't put Deno and you don't say Deno is better than Node, Node is better than Deno. It's basically what.
Sure.
Simple.
So it's kind of the right tool for the job, and also a personal preference as well. I get that. That makes sense. So we've got another question that's come right to the top now. Saw it at the bottom a second ago. Tony, I don't know if you want to read it. Second one down.
Yeah, sure. Do you know anything about the Deno open source governance, or the open source governance of Deno? Has Deno learned from the experience of Node.js versus Ayomide, for example? And are they creating an inclusive community in their developer community?
So the creator of Deno is Ryan. He was one of the people who founded. He's actually the original creator of Node.js itself. He was one of the people who created Node.js itself. So so since Ryan created Node.js, he's the official creator. Now he has like tons of contributors all around GitHub, because like that's open source. I'm someone who advocates for open source. I contribute open source a lot. I love open source. I love documenting open source. Recently, I gave a talk at a conference about open source design, and I said we should always have documentation for designers also, not just developers. We should do that also. That's super important too. So since he founded open source, Node.js, like the original creator, he knew what he did, and he also found out, okay, I missed certain things. So let's create a brand new technology where those things I missed will be applied here, and so you just have to like choose which works for you. As simple as that. And the people who are currently in the community of Deno, I think they're doing a great job right now, because I've not really seen any controversies of Deno. I don't know if anyone has seen, but Deno has really been doing great in giving the community feedback and in answering responses about mostly security. They've been giving responses over Twitter, over GitHub issues, and I track their GitHub issues, and I see all of that, and they're always responding. And it looks like they are building this healthy community out there where people can freely like ask questions and are not being called out funny names for asking certain questions. Because okay, so there was a time I asked a question on this, like I think like 4 years ago. I asked a question on Stack Overflow. I'm like, hey, I'm having this like really bad problem. And someone is like, hey, dummy, like this is something really simple. Why don't you know? I'm like,
because I'm learning.
Come on. Exactly. So it was really, really like really crazy. But over Deno, I always look for this kind of things where because the community really, I'm an advocate for the community. That's why I moved to become a developer advocate from being a software engineer, because I want to work with the community. I want to create a safe place where people can ask questions, people can collaborate and talk, and even find business partners or even something. So they are doing a great job with the community and open source at the same time. And
we'll give them a little mini round of applause for creating such an inclusive and diverse community. Certainly what I've been hearing has been amazing. Do you reckon we got time for one more, Eddie?
I want to squeeze in my question.
Go
Is
for it.
that's naughty?
No.
Okay, I'm abusing the power, but hopefully mine's a quick question and quick answer. We'll see. You said you keep saying no
Okay.
node modules. So do I have to write everything from scratch? What happens if I want to do something that isn't part of the core core Deno?
So if you want to do something that's not part of the like Deno, but Node.js
Yes.
has it, what can I do?
Okay.
Okay, so it would not be a very wise decision to combine Deno and
Okay.
Node in the same project. That wouldn't be a wise decision, and because definitely whatever you're doing with Deno, you can do it with Node.js. It's just that like it's extra work and like other things. But if Deno doesn't currently support that, I would say you fully go for Node.js since it has that. But when Deno supports that, you can always come back to Deno and like rewrite, and it's even going to be faster for you to even rewrite. So yeah, I would say use Node.js. If Deno doesn't support, you can combine both of them.
Okay. That's a perfect place to end there, I think. Shodipo, thank you very much for your amazing talk, the awesome Q&A. I'm sure you're probably going to be dipping in and out of the event for the rest of it, and people will be able to be able to catch you on those tables. Speaking of what,
yeah, send me on. Okay, that's my Twitter handle out here. So if you have anything, so I think I should click my Twitter. So hard. Okay, let me get the right
so while you're
URL
putting
out
that
there.
out there, I'll just give everybody a little reminder to head around to all the sponsor areas to get their secret codes and to join in with the treasure hunt. We would love to give you some free books. It's free books.
I'm just going to add one thing to that as well, Tony. Give the video on YouTube a thumbs up and subscribe to CityJS's YouTube channel. We've got like over 100 people watching, and there's less than 100 subscribers and less than 100 thumbs up. So hopefully we can change that now.
Oh, I think they'll be able to get it up to 100 by the end of the day.
Awesome. Thank you again. That was awesome.
Now this is another.
Cool. See you later.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Bye.